Going to talk about static electricity. Going to chunk the video into three parts so that it's a little bit easier to manage. So first of all, the basics of static electricity, it kind of follows nicely from our chemistry unit. Electrons are outside of the nucleus and they're kind of allowed to wander around from place to place. If we had a copper wire, so imagine this is a side view of a big piece of wire zoomed in. It's full of copper atoms. Outside the copper atoms are all these electrons. In theory, the electrons are with a particular atom. But what's neat about conductors like copper is that the electrons are allowed to wander. They move around through the copper wire. Now, the part that tells us which way to move is sometimes called the law of electrostatics. We know that opposite charges always attract and similar charges always repel. So which way the electrons move depends on what's going on. They're always going to repel away from other electrons and attract towards other positives. And kind of like we talked about in the chemistry unit, when something gains electrons, since electrons are negative, gaining electron will make the overall object become negative. Or if something loses electrons, since you've lost something that's negative, that means that the object has become positive. All right. Charging by friction. Take time to read through this. If you haven't paused the videos, go try this first. But kind of a cool one that I like to show, it doesn't show up very well on the iPad, so I just got a screenshot, is this Johnny Travoltage app. If you rub his foot back and forth on the carpet, so rub his foot back and forth, then electrons move into his body. So all these purple dashes are supposed to be my electrons. That's exactly charging by friction. The friction between his foot and the carpet pulls electrons. In this case, the electrons move out of the carpet and into his body. Then another cool thing is if you bring his finger close to the doorknob, we get a little bolt of electricity jumping across as he touches the doorknob. The charging by friction part, though, is his foot rubbing on the carpet, and we figure that out based off something called the electrostatic series. Let's say, for example, you're at home and you rub your hair with a plastic comb. The electrostatic series tells us that the plastic holds electrons a little bit tighter than your hair. What that means is that the electrons are going to move out of your hair and into the plastic. Since the plastic gains those electrons, the plastic becomes negative. Since your hair loses those electrons, your hair becomes positive. We could generalize it and say that the object near the bottom of the list is going to become negative when it's rubbed against an object above it or an object near the top of the list. In the Johnny Travoltage, since he became negative, his shoe must have been made out of rubber or something close to the bottom, and maybe the carpet was made out of wool or something different. I've attached a worksheet here with answers. I would like you to take some time, try those questions, make sure they make sense.